Hello everyone, we are on chapter 7 and we are on paragraph 11, so let's get started. Dualism makes the mistake of transferring the antithesis of object and subject, which has meaning only within the perceptual realm, to purely notional entities outside this realm. But since the separate things within the perceptual field remain separated only so long as the perceiver refrains from thinking, which cancels all separation and shows it to be due to purely subjective factors, the dualist is therefore transferring to entities behind the perceptual realm determining factors which even for this realm have no absolute validity, but only relative. He thus splits up the two factors concerned in the process of knowledge, namely percept and concept, into four. 1. The object in itself. 2. The percept which the subject has of the object. 3. The subject, the concept which relates the percept to the object in itself. The relation between subject and object is a real one. The subject is really dynamically influenced by the object. This real process is said not to appear in consciousness, but it is supposed to evoke in the subject a response to the stimulation from the object. The result of this response is said to be the percept. Only at this stage does it enter our consciousness. The object is said to have an objective, that is, independent of the subject, reality. The percept is subjective reality. This subjective reality is referred by the subject to the object. This reference is called an ideal one. With this, the dualist therefore splits up the process of knowledge into two parts. The one part, namely the production of the perceptual object out of the thing in itself, he conceives of as taking place outside consciousness, whereas the other, the combination of percept with concept and the reference of the concept to the object, takes place, according to him, within consciousness. With these presuppositions, it is clear why the dualist believes his concepts to be merely subjective representatives of what is there prior to his consciousness, the objectively real process in the subject by means of which the percept comes about, and still more, the objective relations between things in themselves, remain for such a dualist inaccessible to direct knowledge. According to him, man can obtain only conceptual representatives of the objectively real. The bond of unity which connects things with one another, and also objectively with the individual mind of each of us as thing in itself, lies beyond our consciousness, in a being in itself, to whom, once more, we can have in our consciousness merely a conceptual representative. And the summary for 11 is: dualism makes the error of transferring the concepts of subject and object, which actually belongs to the perceptual realm, into purely imagined entities which exist outside the realm of perception. Okay, so in paragraph 11, what the dualists are doing is they are making the mistake of transferring the concept of subject and object, which actually belong to the perceptual realm, into these imagined entities. So for the dualist, they believe that what they do is they split up this process of knowledge into two parts, and in the middle of paragraph 11, as he says, the one part, namely the production of the perceptual object out of the thing in itself, he conceives of as taking place outside consciousness, whereas the other, the combination of percept with concept and the reference of the concept to the object, takes place, according to him, within consciousness. So already the dualist is setting himself up for a difficulty in attaining knowledge, and because what they're doing is they're creating this idea that there are certain things that exist outside of my consciousness, and then there's certain things that I can understand within my consciousness. And the fact that they're already creating these entities or whatnot that exist outside of our consciousness, they're already setting up difficulties and limitations to our knowledge. And earlier on in paragraph 11, as Steiner states, the dualist splits up the two factors which are involved in the process of knowledge, and that is percept and concept, and he splits them up into four, and the four he mentions as 1, the object in itself; 2, the percept which the subject has of the object; 3, the subject; 4, the concept which relates the percept to the object in itself. And the relationship that does go on between the subject and object is a real one. But for Steiner, he believes that this is something that belongs in the perceptual realm, and it's not correct to give these two things what goes on between the object and what goes on between the subject and whatnot. It's not necessary to create another realm. It's a hypothetical realm, this whole thing in itself, which is what is inaccessible to our consciousness, which is outside of our consciousness. And it doesn't make sense to believe in that. So that's what he's pointing out in this paragraph. What else did I want to say? I think that's about it. Yes, so the relationship between the subject and object is real, but the subject, for the dualist, this process is said to not appear in consciousness. So that's what's creating problems as well. As Steiner starts off with the paragraph, he says that the dualist makes the mistake of transferring the antithesis of object and subject, which has meaning only within the perceptual realm, to purely notional entities outside this realm. So that's really what he talks about in paragraph 11, and that basically is summing up what paragraph 11 is about. And in the second part of paragraph 11, because the dualist has these presuppositions, presupposition just meaning assumption, it leads to these problems that they they come up with in the process of knowledge. And so that's why for the dualists now, for them, a dualist, there is limitations to knowledge. And it's basically because they have all these assumptions that they make about the process of knowledge. I think I will end it there, so we will move on to the next session another day. So if you have any questions or comments, please send me a message. Thanks, and have a good day.